Welcome to the Actify presentation on unlimited access to your manufacturing data. This is Ty Myers speaking. Hopefully you can see our screen at this point. So you know that you're logged in on listen only mode. So if you have any questions initially, we will open up at the end of the session. But if you want any questions during the presentation portion of it, just enter them into the comment section. You'll see a chat box in the presentation. What we're talking about here is how do you liberate your product data and get access to the data for everybody in your organization, even when you have periodic users, temporaries, contractors that come in and work with you, or you have people that are working remotely. So the requirements in order to liberate your product data, whether it's native CAD files, 3D, 2D, or other information hidden within, you first need user access, but the big things are you need low user costs and a high value return. So how does an organization provide you that kind of access so that everybody, not only the power users, but the periodic users can get access to that information whenever they need it? That it's easily adoptable so that you get a return on your investment. No technology is worth any investment if people will not use the technology. So you need an easily used system. Plus you need to have licenses on hand for when those times you have contractors and so forth come in, or temporary staff that need access. Next, you need a vendor neutral solution. You get all kinds of CAD data coming into your office. It could be CATIA, ProE, SolidWorks, doesn't really matter. So a solution that can not only read the native CAD data and the information inside, like the PMI data, but also disparate content and other files associated to that information if you want to get access to that also, so that you don't have to go searching for information. And last, the ability to have access anywhere and even global use. So access at work, whether you're on the road or you're at home. So as we look at this, you look at the alternatives in the industry, they're not just complex, but they're too expensive to give to everybody in the organization. In most cases, they're using a licensing model that defeats the purpose of liberating your data, such as named user licensing, or cost per user or cost per license. So there's ways of getting around that to provide people access, but also you want to find a solution that, again, people can adopt and aren't so complex. Plus, as what Actify has done is we focus on the 20% we believe makes 80% of the impact on a company. So make the tool something that's not so technical deep that people won't adopt it. What we've produced from our Spinfire product lines is this Enterprise CAD Viewing package. The ability to have the client-based version to see the 3D and 2D model information and investigate that model, such as curvature analysis, a wall thickness analysis, 3 cutting planes, offset cutting planes, dimension in a cutting plane. So you can really do more CAD-like capabilities of investigating that model. Or if you're just trying to communicate and collaborate, we have the same type of solution, only where it works through a browser. So 0 download, and you can see it on a tablet, whatever type of platform basically that has browser access. And with both those solutions, we have the ability to translate the native CAD file into other usable formats. So when you have a CATIA file come in and you need to translate it, you can take it into a Parasolid, STEP, IGES, and multiple other formats. Now from there, you've got the viewing capabilities. You can investigate that model. You can translate the model, but you may want to manage those files with a lightweight solution. Even if you have a PLM system, for most people downstream from the CAD designer, they need something more lightweight and accessible to that information. So there is that option that comes with this Enterprise CAD Viewing Plus capability. And then even from there, we have other upgrade options for 3D search and RFQ management type tools. So how do we do unlimited access? How can you get access for people at work, on the road, or at home? We've built a pricing model that we look at an organization, whether we narrow it down to a single location, a group of locations, or the entire company. And when we look at it, we just so that we standardize across all companies, we made pricing tiers. So a company of 75 employees, 300 employees, 500 employees. And when we do that, let's say it's a 500 employee organization or locations, we figure a small percentage of those are going to be actual users, and we price based on that small percentage of users. So now it gives you a very low cost per user that's equivalent to or less than a price of a cup of coffee per user per day. And if you have more people than the percentage that we estimate, that Actify estimates, then you don't pay any more. You just increase or decrease your cost per user. So with Enterprise CAD Viewing, we give you a lot of flexibility in how you deploy licenses, how you host those licenses, if you choose to host them, so that you can access the data. So by working with Actify, you get 360-degree view of not only the 3D model, but all associated information and files around that model. It's purpose-built to help companies, especially in the program management functions of the business and reporting. It increases your accuracy and the speed that you're doing. Achieves the usability capabilities because it doesn't require extensive training, it doesn't require huge investments. And it's at a price point so that you democratize or get it to everybody in your organization. So you stop limiting who can get access to the information that you want to share. So at this point, we're going to switch over, let you see the products in play. Again, we call it Enterprise CAD Viewing Plus or ECV Plus. And you'll see both these technologies here, the viewer-based and the client-based applications. So I'm going to introduce Jim Vasello here.
Thanks, Ty. Let me show my screen. Okay, hopefully everybody can see my screen right now. Thanks, Ty. Again, this is Jim Vasello, and good morning, afternoon, and evening. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in. So what I'd like to show first is the enterprise viewing of your CAD files. I happen to be logged into the server version of the product to be able to see this just through a browser. So I'm looking at a Google Chrome browser in this particular case, and I'm just viewing this 3D representation of the CAD file in our lightweight Spinfire web format. And as you can see, it's a full 3D representation, and you can see some of the performance things as I rotate. Some of the parts will hide and show depending. This server actually happens to be out in San Francisco, and I'm logged in from my location in the Northeast. So this is a live representation of the type of performance you'll see. For those of you who know the Spinfire desktop product, this Spinfire web version has a subset of the functionalities. As an example, I can pan, zoom, rotate. I can create section cuts. I have the ability to drag those section cuts, very similar to that of the desktop product, and I can have up to 3 section planes, and I can just drag those through accordingly. And then if I want, I can flip those around and such. So it gives us a good representation of what this assembly looks like. Again, this is all in a browser. There is no download, there's no plugins. It uses browser technology. So you can do this pretty much on any platform. A laptop, a Surface Pro, an iPad, your phone, Android, Apple, and so on, because it only uses the browser technology. So I also have a subset, again, of the functionality where I could do a quick explode view. So here I can see a very good representation. So if you're sharing information with others globally, as long as you have access to your website, and this is hosted on the customer's server, not on our server, so it's not a cloud version of this. So as long as you have access, you can see exactly what I'm doing here. We also have a capability of doing some dimensioning. So I can do some edge dimensioning, maybe straight edges. Maybe I want to get some circular dimensioning. I may want to find out what the distance is, maybe between this face and an upper face here somewhere. So I have that distance. I have the ability to add markups, so I may be doing some collaboration. Have the ability to add some text information. Check diameter. And what I can also do is save that information as what we call a snapshot. Just call it assembly notes. And I can add that snapshot, and you can see over to the right-hand side, we have a pullout, as we call it, that has the snapshot that I just created. It also has previous snapshots that were created by whoever logged in here. And I can maybe edit and add a comment to this. So it's called the initial state. I may want to come to this snapshot, which is just the crankcase assembly. I may want to add a reply in here. Looks good. So this allows you to collaborate to whoever has access to this based on your permissions and such. So you could have a rolling history of the different snapshots that were generated, the different comments that were added. And here's the one I just created as we were speaking. So I have the ability to add whatever snapshot I want into here and save that to have other people comment on. So it's a good collaborative tool. We also have the ability, let me go back to select mode here, the ability to look at different data on this. So I may want to look for my filter, maybe the CAD, the cost data, CAD filter information or CAD data information. And from here, I see that I have all the attributes that were stored in the file are also represented here. Anything in here could be searched throughout the database for any similar type information. So I may want to come back to my initial assembly or the exploded view assembly. I have the ability to show the components on the assembly tree. So I may want to just show a portion of that. And then I can do some dimensions on here. I could say this is a snapshot and so on. Of course, there's a lot more functionality to this, the Spinfire Web portion of the product. If you have questions after this or do a follow-up, we certainly can get more into depth. To get to this, it's also, again, it's part of the server functionality. What we're looking at here is what we call the part view page. It's information about the part that we're dealing with. And that one thing we're dealing with was the Spinfire Web. But what also takes place is the files that we want to be processed are uploaded into here that can be accessed. We can generate automatically the what we call CAD to CAD, and that's from the native CAD format to some intermediate file format. In this case, a step file. This also converts into the Spinfire desktop file and the web, and it could have been IGES file, it could be many, many different things. We can add additional information, engineering documentation, supporting documentation, and so on. But what we can also do with this is if we want to do a bit more interrogation than the functionality allows in the Spinfire web product, what we could do is just download that locally. So no matter where the server sits and the information's on the server, no matter where it sits, if I have access to it, I can download that locally. And that just downloads it to wherever your browser is saved to. Okay, so typically the downloads folder, but wherever you want to put it. And that allows me to, once it's downloaded, just click on a file and it opens it up in the Spinfire desktop application. And here we see some of the functionality is very similar, right? I have the ability to pan, zoom, rotate. If you happen to have a 3D device plugged into your machine, 3D space device, you can use that as well. But we have the ability to create section cuts through here. So there's a section cut, very similar to what we've shown in the Spinfire web. We have the ability to add 2 and 3 planes to that, and additional functionality in the sectioning as well. So in the section cut itself, I have the ability to do dimensioning. And I may want to turn off the section plane, and I can come in here right within the section cut and create dimensional information. I may want to find out maybe what the distance is between 2 lines and the circular dimensions and any of that. So I can interrogate the model while it's in a section environment or just in a non-section environment and get that same information. I may just want to find out what the distance is between that arc and this arc over here. So I can do full interrogation of this. There's a lot of different functionality. I have the ability to do model compare. I can do draft angle analysis, wall thickness, curvature, rule-based coloring based on some parameters. I have the ability to get additional information. So let's say I want to, actually, let me go on this part right here. Okay, and I'll go ahead and hide those markups. So let's say I want to work with just this component. So very simple things that I can do here is I can calculate either the minimum or axis aligned bounding box. So there's my minimum bounding box. I can obtain the volume, surface area, center of mass, and also weight. So I can grab the volume from here, and I may want that in inches. I can change that very easily, and I can also show all of those things, the volume, surface area, and the mass. If I want the weight, I can select the type of material that's in there. If I don't have that in the list, I can add my own, I can import from files and so on, but I'll just use the aluminum here. So I can go ahead and calculate the weight of this component. So with a matter of a minute, really, I can get the bounding box. Maybe I'm ordering material. I can get the volume. So the difference between the bounding box and the volume, I can maybe find out how much is waste. I have the weight of the completed part with all the holes and everything. I have the wetted surface area. Maybe I'm applying some kind of paint or and so on to this. So very easily, I can get that type of information from here. And again, I can save this. You can also email this file format to others if they don't have Spinfire installed. You can install the free version of the product and open this file, and whatever information is in there would also be in that file that they open, and they can view it, but they can't author anything in there. If I wanted to, I could come in and change maybe my background color. I may want to change the color of a surface area. Maybe I'm manufacturing, and I want to change maybe that face to a different color to identify a manufacturing feature. Okay. I have the ability to do a model compare. Again, bring up 2 different models and do a comparison in there. I have all these different types of functions. Now you can see it's a larger set of dimensional functions that were in Spinfire Web. It all depends on what your purpose of interrogating the file is. If it's not enough in Web, then you can download it locally and you can open it up in the Spinfire product, and then you can do your interrogation. You can save that file and also upload that to the Spinfire web or to the central catalog part view page. So if I wanted to maybe store this view, I can go ahead and store that view. I can maybe make that my startup view. And then I may want to save that. And that will save that file with all that information. And then what I can do is upload that file from my location, from my PC, back up into the server product. Okay, so then you can collaborate what you've done back, pardon me, back into the server. So as an example, if I go back there, I can maybe check this file out, pardon me. So I can maybe check this file out, and I don't need to download it. I already have it. And then what I can do, I can upload that. From my downloads. And that was just updated here. And I may want to add that to a different category, but I'll leave that as. And I can add that. And it will upload that file back up to the server and create a version 2 of that file. That way, the next time anyone logs in, they will see the version 2 of that file. But you can also see the history of that going back to the version 1, the initial version. Okay, so you have the ability to do that as well. Come back to here. If I want, I can go ahead and, again, email this. There's an email function that you just click on the email icon and it will open up whatever your email is, sign in this as an attachment, and then you forward that off and they can open that up in the reader. Okay. Again, the dimensional capability, some of the advanced dimensional capability is tube length. So let's say you have tubing information or tubing parts and you want to get the center line and the bend radii and so on. You can do that very easily. A lot of functionality here. Obviously, it's a lot more that we can go through in this short amount of time, but certainly we can do so afterwards. So there's a lot of different functionality in here as well. Okay, I do see a couple questions popping up here. Let's see. Okay, we can do that later. Okay. So I think, Ty, without getting a little bit further in depth here, I'm not sure if there are any questions that we want to allow for more time on here.
Okay, tell you what, I will just share my screen here. So if you'd like to get in contact with us, I put on the screen some email addresses for information. If you're working in the medical device area and working on COVID, please contact us because we'd like to help with your efforts and what you're doing today. Otherwise, I appreciate everybody's time today, and we look forward to talking with you.